What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films. And as you can tell by the title, I will be giving my thoughts and opinions on episode 4 of season 1, Bel-Air Canvas. So if you're interested in my thoughts on this kind of boring episode, then stay right there. We're going to get right into this review.
Hey, Sister Girl on Films, you don't want to miss a thing. Better stay tuned in. So lay back, get into the vibe, in the mood. Real reviews from a sister's point of view. Trailer reactions, movies and TV. So entertaining and authentic, believe me. So roll that footage, I'm ready to chill. Time to hang out with my sister girl. Hey, Sister Girl on Films. Hey, Sister Girl on Films. Hey.
So this episode for me was really kind of dull, and it felt more like a filler episode than anything else. I feel like we were really going at a fast pace, episodes 1 through 3, and this one kind of just really like stopped us in our momentum. So if you do check out this episode, just be prepared. It's not as high drama as the first 3 episodes. I think it's just here to kind of set up some future storyline that I imagine that will come into play for the remainder of the season. So I'm just going to talk about the parts that were probably the most interesting instead of giving a recap or step-by-step of the episode, because like I said, it was kind of boring. So this episode is called Canvassing because Will and Carlton have been given the task by their Uncle Phil to go door to door registering voters in predominantly black neighborhoods to try to get the buzz going for, you know, Philip Banks, you know, who's running for district attorney. And so, as you can imagine, you know, it doesn't necessarily go so well. You know, Will and Carlton, even though they had their beef, they kind of called a temporary truce because Carlton made a deal with Uncle Phil that if him and Will can get along for a week, then he'll buy him tickets to, I think it was like the Malibu Grand Prix. And then Will made a deal with Aunt Viv that if him and Carlton can get along for the week, then Trey can come out to visit from Philadelphia. So they both have some things at stake. So they decide to go ahead and call this truce and get along as best they can. And of course, while they're doing their canvassing, they kind of get into it because Will is saying some things about Uncle Phil's opponent and calling him racist because he supports Blue Lives Matter, things like that. So Carlton, even though they basically let us know that the Banks family is not a conservative black family, but Carlton still feels like Will was kind of out of pocket for that. And so Will and Carlton kind of get into it, and Will walks away after Carlton kind of calls him out and is like, you know, why are you really here? You know, is it really because of what happened in Philadelphia, or do you have some other ulterior motives? And Will is like, you know, F you, Carlton, and storms off. So that's what's kind of going on with Will and Carlton in this episode. I am kind of disappointed that we ended so high intensity in episode 3 with Carlton, you know, being upset because he got kicked out of the game. His family not being at his lacrosse game to support him, taking drugs and really like having an intense moment. And then we have episode 4 where that's really not addressed. Carlton didn't really talk to his family about why they weren't at his game. You know, we didn't see a conversation about why he got kicked out of the game. Like, how did the game go? Nothing. It was just like, he was good. So that was one of the things that I really didn't like about this episode, is that we didn't really dig into that intense moment that I feel like would have been a great way to continue that character development for Carlton, and then also kind of keep the drama going and keep it a little bit more interesting in episode 4. Maybe they'll go back to it, but I think at this point, if they backtrack to that, it just will seem, you know, kind of forced. That's just my opinion. So next we see Hilary is interviewing and talking to different people that can maybe help elevate her brand, and in regards to like the upscale food industry and what she's trying to do in her goals. And she is sitting with one guy, and he is like putting together an influencer house. And if you guys don't know, that's kind of like a big thing right now with the Gen Zers, and they do these I know one was called like Hype House or something like that, and they're influencer houses. So like people who have really big followings on social media, they all move into a house together, do content together. But they've tied that into this show. And so Hilary interviews with all these different people, and she's really excited about the guy for the influencer house. And she finds out that she does end up getting selected to move into the influencer house. And as you can imagine, Aunt Viv is like, okay, wait, what is going on? That sounds like a lot. I can imagine there will be a lot of strings attached to that. And Hilary is like, no. You're like, no, it's just free. I don't have to pay anything. I just move in and do content and that's it. And Aunt Viv was like, Hilary, that can't be it. That's all. Like, nothing is for free. So Hilary is like, why can't you be happy for me? And Aunt Viv, feels bad because Hilary is excited about this opportunity. But, it's mother's intuition. And because Aunt Viv is a grown-ass woman, she knows nothing is for free. So you got to do something to earn your keep in that house. And it might not be anything nefarious, but you don't know what kind of contracts you might have to sign, your likeness, your brand, whatever. Who knows? So I think that it's good that Aunt Viv, really brought that up and wanted to check her about it. And it makes sense that Hilary will have an attitude about it, because she's young, and Aunt Viv told her last episode that, that she needs to go out here and try to find her own way. Well, Mom, if you want me to find my own way, then get out my way and let me make my own decisions. And that's fine if you're going to give me advice and kind of guide me in what might be right or might be wrong. But you said that you and Dad were cutting me off, so I got to do what I got to do. So we'll see how that plays out. But the tension between Hilary and Aunt Viv so far, it feels a lot cliche, but I get it, and it does add some sort of dimension to their characters, otherwise that really didn't have much of a storyline, back in the day. So I get them, kind of adding that drama between them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the remainder of the season. Also in this episode, we finally get an interaction between Jazz and Hilary. And as you guys know, in the original, Jazz was like in love with Hilary. Hilary was having none of it. But they did a little spin on it this time around. Jazz owns a record shop, and his father owned it before, gave it to him. And so it's really popular in the neighborhood that it's in. So Hilary and Ashley end up at Jazz's record shop because Hilary and Ashley were given the task to campaign to local businesses to see if they can put up flyers and posters and things like that for their father. And so when they get to the record shop, they are familiar with who Jazz is, and Hilary and Jazz, have a conversation, and they're getting along really well. And she helps him with his social media page because she's really good at it, future influencer. And we see that little Miss Ashley, who has made another appearance. Ashley's back. Ashley's back. We don't know where she was at that game, but she's back. She's not kidnapped. Ashley is safe. So Ashley is texting some friends that she has, and she kind of gives Hilary the slip. She's like, hey, I'm about to go next door to pass out some more flyers. And Hilary is, trusting her little sister, thinking she has some sense. But then Ashley ends up getting a ride to her friend's house, and Hilary has no idea where Ashley goes to. And so Hilary lets Geoffrey know Ashley's missing. Geoffrey, as we soon find out, is a gangster and not to be tried. So he locates Ashley, gets her back home. We have Aunt Viv this episode, who is still really questioning who she is, as a woman outside of her marriage, outside of her being a mother, and really kind of regretting her decision to not continue her artistry and painting and things like that. And so her homegirl comes over, helps her clean out her old studio. She sees some old paintings, and her friend is really encouraging her to get back into the art world because her influence is needed, her talents are needed. And Aunt Viv is really starting to put a lot of thought into it and considering, picking back up that profession. And so it doesn't sound like Phil is really I'm not gonna say he's not supportive of her going back into the art world, but it doesn't seem like he recognizes how important it is to her and how much of that she misses as part of her identity. And so he sometimes makes comments like, a lady recognized Viv when her and Phil were talking to a couple, trying to get them to back him in his nomination. And the lady recognized Aunt Viv from a mural that she did at a school. And when the lady asked if Viv was still painting, Phil jumped in and was like, no, she doesn't do that anymore. She's not an artist anymore. And Viv felt a way about that because she's like, I'll never stop being an artist. Like, he was like, well, I just mean, you don't do it as a profession anymore. And she's like, okay, I get it, but that's not really how I took that. And so they resolved it, but I feel like it was kind of some forced drama between them, because even though Viv and Phil back in the original show would have little spats here and there, they really didn't have a whole lot of drama. And I think they're just trying to like drum up some stuff to kind of make it feel more dramatic, but I feel like it was kind of a mute point. And I think the character of Phil that we're establishing right now is going to support Viv regardless of what she does. So I don't know, I feel like this is going to be kind of a dead plot line. But we shall see. I don't know. And then lastly, we have our new gangsta house manager, Geoffrey, who is, you know, has his toe kind of dipped in everything, all things Banks family. And so at the beginning of the episode, we see a guy is following Will. And of course, as the audience, we're thinking that this guy is tied to Rashad, you know, our gangster from Philly. But come to find out, it's a guy that Geoffrey is hired to do security detail for Will to make sure he's good. And then so once Geoffrey finds out from Will that Rashad knows that Will is in LA, Geoffrey kind of ups the ante and tells the security detail not to follow the Banks family no more. He's going to go ahead and take care of the situation with Rashad for good. And so, of course, you know, we can probably imagine that means he's going to make sure Rashad is... And I know. And so at the end of the episode, we do find out that Rashad was shot and killed in a strip club in Philly. And Trey is super excited because he's coming out to see Will at the end of the week. And he feels like, you know, we don't have nothing to worry about. Rashad is out of our hairs. He is the done deal. And so Will is kind of suspicious, and he's kind of putting two and two together that he had this conversation with Geoffrey. Now, all of a sudden, Rashad has been taken care of. But Geoffrey... he was giving us a lot of Jamaican gangster vibes this episode, and I was kind of feeling it. It still seems a little far-fetched for the character of Geoffrey, but also I feel like it's modern times. Like, it would not really be a good move to have a prestigious black family with a black butler. Like, what are we doing? So I get that he's the house manager, and I'm kind of feeling him being Phil's right-hand man, and Phil knows what Geoffrey is capable of. I kind of like that, but also too, it kind of doesn't really fit the tone of the show. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, y'all, that's pretty much all that happened in this episode. Like I said, it was pretty boring, and it was just a lot of filler and kind of just a lot of setup on the show. We also find out that Lisa's father is the chief of police. And so I feel like maybe in the season continuing, he's going to end up kind of being our new villain, because Rashad is no longer in the picture. Carlton and Will, by the end of this episode, seem to be, you know, extending their truce long term. We'll see how that goes. And so because it is a drama, we do have to have some sort of villain. So I think it's going to end up being Lisa's dad, because once Will found out that Lisa's dad was chief of police, he got pissed off at Lisa, you know, kind of gave her the cold shoulder. And then Uncle Phil decided to, you know, keep it real with his possible constituents, and, you know, really to connect with future black voters, you know, talk about his stance on the defund the police. And the dad didn't look pleased. So I feel like maybe that might be our drama intention of the show going forward, just Uncle Phil and the Banks family, and now the police getting involved and police corrupt. I don't know. I honestly at this point don't know what the show is doing. I'm not checked out. It just, you know, every episode can't be a banger. So far, I am really loving the development of Hilary as a character. I also kind of like what they're doing with Jazz. I like that they're making him more mature, more respectable in his community. Just an all-around good dude. I mean, he kind of was that in the original one, but he was also kind of just there for comedic relief and being thrown out the house, and you know, Hilary paying him for dust. So I like that they're actually developing his character, giving him a backstory, you know, him owning a record shop. He's obviously older than Will. So there's a lot happening there that I'm really liking that they changed about his character. So I'm interested to see where him and Hilary's connection will go, because it seems like it's going to be super authentic this time around versus it being like a Steve Urkel type crush, which that was kind of a thing of the 90s, so it is what it is. A couple other things. In this episode, they were having like an exclusive event for donors for Uncle Phil, and they had it at the skating rink. That seems so weird to me. And I get it because he's trying to be relatable, but then also Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv went to the skating ring looking like Michelle and Barack Obama. Like, if we're gonna go to the skating ring and you want to relate to the people in the community, dress down. Like, I thought that was so weird that he had on a suit and she had on like a little business casual dress. And I'm like, if you're trying to be relatable, you're not giving me relatable. You're still giving me stuffy, but now we're at a skating rink. And who's paying $500 for an exclusive ticket to the skating rink? Because I'm not. I don't think so. We're not here for that. And then I know people have been having a problem with Jabari Banks and his performance and his acting. And the first couple episodes, it didn't really bother me. But this episode, I'm starting to see what people are saying about his performance. And it could be a direction thing, because I feel like there are moments when they're really trying to channel Will Smith and make him emulate Will Smith in The Fresh Prince, instead of allowing him to kind of take on this role as Will in his own way. And so I think that lends to some of the line delivery and some of the slang and some of the erratic, over-exaggerated, like excited moments that he'll do. And I don't like that. So maybe they do some adjusting in the direction as the show goes on. But for right now, if Jabari continues with his performance the way it is right now, he's going to get on my nerves. Eventually, I'm going to get sick of his performance in this show. So I really hope they make those adjustments as we see more episodes and he really dials it back. Because I can see where he's really trying to emulate Will Smith and his walk, the way he talks sometimes, some of his mannerisms, some of his quips. And it's just really weird. And I'm not a fan of that. And then there was also a moment, you guys remember in Fresh Prince, and Uncle Phil kind of caught Will playing the piano, and that was kind of like a moment when he realized that, you know, I don't know what the point of that was. I guess that he's just not like a rough kid from Philadelphia, that, you know, he really does have a lot to offer. But then when they did that in this episode, but it felt so hollow. Like it was just him randomly sitting down playing the piano, and Hilary came over and was like, oh, wow, cuz you're really talented. And then that was it. Okay, I get it, fan service, but make it fan service that makes sense and adds to the story is all I'm saying. So yeah, y'all, I know this review was kind of all over the place, but I'm just trying to give y'all what I could give you because this episode was so boring. So hopefully next episode is much more entertaining and gives us a little bit more to talk about. New episodes do come out on Thursday, so I will be uploading my reviews on Thursdays for Bel-Air. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, you know, what you thought about this episode, if you thought it was boring and kind of filler, or if you were really enjoying it. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm gonna see y'all next time for something else. Thank y'all so much for y'all support, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.
Hey, look, I talk my shit and keep it honest, keep it independent. I hear them hating, but that's only cause they inconsistent. He said the weapon wouldn't prosper, now they wouldn't form. I'm about to golf, I hit the middle and it's good and warm. I got the $1 million motors, I've been getting to it. I got the shit that boost your ego when you listen to it. I know they